Kim Tae-woo wiped his hands on his dirty coveralls as he walked up the boarding ramp of the massive alien ship. The stellar harmony was beautiful. Its walls gleamed like mirrors and soft blue lights made everything look peaceful. He had never seen anything like it before. The other passengers stared at him as he passed. They wore expensive clothes and jewelry that sparkled under the lights. Tae-woo looked down at his old work clothes. Oil stains covered his shirt and his boots were worn from years of walking on metal floors. He felt very out of place. A tall blue alien in a crisp uniform looked at Tae-woo's ticket. Her skin was smooth like glass and her eyes were silver. She had forearms which made checking tickets very fast. "Seat 14J, she said in perfect English. Her voice sounded like music. "Lower deck economy section." Tae-woo nodded and smiled. "Thank you." The alien, whose name tag read Officer Nira, barely looked at him again. She was already helping the next passenger, a wealthy-looking creature with purple fur and golden rings on all its fingers. Tae-woo found his way to the lower deck. The hallways were narrower here and the lights were dimmer. This was where the cheap seats were. He didn't mind. He had saved for months to buy this ticket to the Centauri station. He needed to get there for work. Seat 14J was small and squeezed between two larger aliens. One looked like a giant lizard with green scales. The other had gray skin and 6 eyes. Both moved away from Tae-woo when he sat down. They whispered to each other in a language he didn't understand, but their tone was not friendly. Tae-woo pulled out a thick technical manual from his bag. The cover was torn and the pages were yellow with age. It was about quantum engine repair. He had read it many times, but he always found something new. Reading helped him ignore the unfriendly looks from other passengers. The ship began to move. Tae-woo felt a slight vibration through the floor. It was different from Earth ships. This one was smoother, more advanced. He closed his eyes and listened. The engines hummed in a steady rhythm. Everything sounded normal. Captain Velthera walked through the economy section. She was checking on passengers before they jumped to faster-than-light speed. She was proud of her ship and her crew. The Stellar Harmony was one of the finest passenger ships in the galaxy. Very few problems ever happened on her watch. She stopped when she saw Tae-woo. A human in economy class was unusual. Most humans who could afford space travel bought better seats. This one looked like he worked with his hands. His fingernails were dirty and he smelled like machine oil. "First time on a Valtorian ship?" she asked. Tae-woo looked up from his book. "Yes, ma'am. It's very impressive." "We are proud of our technology," Velthera said. "Much more advanced than human ships." Tae-woo nodded politely. "I'm sure it is." Velthera noticed the book in his hands. "You read about engines?" "I'm a mechanic," Tae-woo said. "I fix things." "Ah." Velthera's tone became less interested. "Well, you will not need to worry about repairs on this ship. Our engineers are the best in the galaxy." After she left, Tae-woo went back to reading. The lizard alien next to him made a snorting sound. "Humans," it said in broken English. "Always think they know about machines." Tae-woo didn't respond. He had heard comments like this before. Many aliens thought humans were primitive. They had only been traveling in space for a short time compared to other species. Most aliens saw them as newcomers who didn't understand advanced technology. The ship made its jump to faster-than-light speed. Tae-woo felt his stomach twist slightly. The manual in his hands talked about the quantum fields that made this possible. It was fascinating technology, but he noticed something odd. The vibration pattern had changed slightly after the jump. He put his hand on the floor. The vibration felt wrong. It was very small, something most people would never notice. But Tae-woo had spent his whole life working with machines. He could feel when something wasn't quite right. 3 hours into the journey, the lights flickered. Passengers looked around nervously. A voice came over the speaker system. It was Captain Velthera. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing minor technical difficulties. Our engineers are working to fix the problem. There is no danger. We ask for your patience." The lights flickered again. This time they stayed dim for several seconds before returning to normal. Passengers began talking loudly. Some sounded scared. Tae-woo felt the floor vibration change again. It was getting worse. He could tell that whatever was wrong was not minor. The quantum stabilizers were having problems. If they failed completely, the ship would be thrown out of faster-than-light speed in the middle of empty space. A Valtorian engineer ran past in the hallway outside economy class. His blue face looked worried. More engineers followed. They were all heading toward the engine sections. The ship shuddered. It was slight, but Tae-woo felt it. The quantum field was becoming unstable. He had read about this in his manuals. It was dangerous. What's happening? Asked the gray alien with 6 eyes. Probably nothing, said the lizard creature, but its voice sounded nervous. Tae-woo wanted to help, but he knew no one would listen to him. He was just a human in economy class. The proud Valtorian crew would never ask for help from someone they saw as primitive. He went back to reading his manual, but he kept one hand on the floor, feeling the vibrations. The problems were getting worse. The engineers upstairs were running out of time. The lights went out completely for 5 seconds. When they came back on, they were much dimmer than before. Emergency power was kicking in. That was not a good sign. An hour passed. The problems continued. The ship shuddered more often now. Passengers were openly worried. Some demanded to speak with the captain. Others wanted to know when they would arrive at their destination. Tae-woo knew they might not arrive anywhere if the quantum stabilizers failed. He had seen this type of cascade failure before in simulations. Each small problem made the next one worse. Eventually, everything would break down at once. He closed his manual and put it back in his bag. Then he stood up and stretched. The lizard alien looked at him suspiciously. "Where are you going, human?" "Just walking," Tae-woo said. "My legs are stiff." He walked to the small window in the economy section. Outside, he could see the strange colors of faster-than-light space. But something was wrong. The colors were flickering just like the lights inside the ship. They were in serious trouble. The question was whether the Valtorian engineers would figure it out in time, or whether their pride would doom everyone on board. Tae-woo went back to his seat and waited. Sometimes the best thing a mechanic could do was wait for the right moment to help. The ship shook harder this time. Tae-woo gripped his seat as books and personal items fell to the floor around him. The other passengers were no longer trying to stay calm. Voices rose in panic as the lights went out for 10 full seconds. When the emergency lights came on, they cast an eerie red glow throughout the economy section. The lizard alien next to Tae-woo was making clicking sounds with its tongue. That meant fear in its species. The gray creature with 6 eyes was all 6 eyes darting around the room, looking for escape routes that didn't exist. Captain Velthara's voice came over the speakers again. This time she didn't sound as confident as before. "Passengers, please remain in your seats. We are working to resolve our technical issues. The crew has everything under control." But Tae-woo could hear the lie in her voice. The quantum field vibrations were getting worse by the minute. What had started as a small problem was now becoming a crisis that could kill everyone on board. Through the economy section window, Tae-woo watched the colors of hyperspace flicker and change. The ship was having trouble staying in the faster-than-light corridor. If they dropped out here in the middle of empty space between star systems, rescue could take months or years. 2 more Valtorian engineers ran past the economy section. Their blue faces were covered in sweat and their silver eyes looked panicked. One was talking rapidly into a communication device. Tae-woo caught a few words in English. Cascade failure and human components. That got his attention. Human components? Why would an advanced Valtorian ship have human parts? A few minutes later, a junior officer came into the economy section. Her name tag said Engineer Kayla. She looked very young and very scared. "Excuse me," she said to the passengers. "Does anyone here have experience with human technology, specifically human engine systems?" The passengers looked at each other. Most were not human. The few humans in economy class shook their heads. They were tourists or low-level workers, not engineers. Tae-woo raised his hand slowly. "I might be able to help." Engineer Kayla looked at him with hope. "You know about human engines?" "I've worked on them," Tae-woo said carefully. "What's the problem?" Kayla looked around nervously. She wasn't supposed to discuss ship problems with passengers, but her orders were to find anyone who might help. "Our ship uses some human technology," she whispered. "It was added 5 years ago when we salvaged parts from a destroyed Earth military vessel. Our engineers integrated the human systems with our quantum drives. It was supposed to make us faster and more efficient." Tae-woo nodded. He was starting to understand. "But now the human parts are failing and your engineers don't know how to fix them." "Exactly," Kayla said. "The human systems are causing resonance problems with our quantum stabilizers. Every time we try to fix one part, another part breaks. Chief Engineer Kyle Andor says the human technology is too primitive to work properly with our advanced systems. Tae-woo almost smiled at that. Human technology wasn't primitive. It was just different. Humans built things to be repaired and modified. Aliens often built things to be perfect from the start. When human and alien technology were mixed together without proper understanding, problems like this happened. Can you take me to see the problem? Tae-woo asked. Kayla hesitated. Passengers weren't allowed in the engineering sections. But Chief Engineer Kyle Andor had said to find help anywhere possible. Follow me, she said, but don't touch anything. They left the economy section and took an elevator to the upper decks. Tae-woo had never seen the expensive parts of the ship before. The hallways were wide and decorated with beautiful artwork. The lights were warm and steady here, not flickering like in economy class. But even in the fancy sections, Tae-woo could feel the ship's problems. The floor vibrations were wrong. The air recycling system was working too hard. Small things that most people wouldn't notice, but that told a mechanic the ship was in serious trouble. They reached the main engineering deck. The doors opened to reveal chaos. A dozen Valtorian engineers were running between control panels, shouting orders at each other. Warning lights flashed red and yellow. The air smelled like burned electronics. Chief Engineer Kyle Andor stood in the center of it all. He was tall even for a Valtorian, with darker blue skin that showed his age and experience. His forearms moved quickly between different control panels trying to fix multiple problems at once. "Kala," he shouted when he saw them. "Did you find someone who knows about human junk?" "This passenger says he has experience with human engines," Kayla said, pointing to Tae-woo. Kyle Andor looked at Tae-woo with disappointment. He saw a small human in dirty work clothes, not exactly what he had hoped for. "You know about quantum-integrated servo motivators?" Kyle Andor asked. "Some," Tae-woo said. "Can you show me what's happening?" Kyle Andor led him to a large display screen. It showed the ship's systems in bright colors. Green meant everything was working. Yellow meant problems. Red meant critical failure. Right now there was a lot of red. "The human components are here, here, and here," Kyle Andor pointed to 3 sections of the ship. "They were integrated with our quantum matrix to increase efficiency. But now they're causing harmonic resonance that destabilizes our entire field matrix." Tae-woo studied the display. He could see the problem immediately. The human and Valtorian systems were fighting each other. Every time the Valtorian computers tried to adjust the quantum field, the human systems tried to compensate in a different way. It was like 2 people trying to steer the same car in opposite directions. "Have you tried isolating the human systems?" Tae-woo asked. "Impossible," Kyle Andor said. "They're too integrated. If we shut them down, we lose propulsion completely." "What about adjusting the resonance frequency?" "We tried that. It makes the problem worse," Tae-woo nodded. The Valtorian engineers were thinking like Valtorians. They were trying to force the human systems to work like Valtorian systems. That would never work. The ship shuddered again, harder this time. One of the junior engineers shouted that they were losing quantum containment in Sector 7. Another engineer reported that life support was beginning to strain. "How long until complete failure?" Tae-woo asked. Kyle Andor looked at his readouts. "At this rate, maybe 2 hours. Maybe less. 2 hours to save 800 passengers. Tae-woo felt the familiar calm that came over him during a crisis. This was what he did. This was what he was good at. But first he needed to understand exactly what kind of human systems they were working with. The type of integration would determine the solution. "Can you show me the original human ship records?" he asked. "Why?" Kyle Andor demanded. "Because," Tae-woo said, "human technology isn't primitive. It's just different. And if you want to save this ship, you need to stop thinking like a Valtorian and start thinking like a human." Kyle Andor stared at him for a long moment. Then another alarm started blaring and he decided he had nothing to lose. Kyle Andor led Tae-woo to a secondary control station. His forearms moved quickly across the panel, bringing up files about the human ship they had salvaged. The records appeared on a large screen in front of them. The ship was called the Earth Defender, Kyle Andor explained. It was damaged in a battle and drifting in space when we found it. Most of the crew was dead, but the engine systems were still intact. Our engineers thought they could improve our ships by adding human technology. Tae-woo studied the records carefully. The Earth Defender was a military vessel, built for war. That changed everything. Military ships used different technology than civilian ships. They were designed to keep working even when damaged. This is a combat engineering setup, Taewoo said. The systems are designed to adapt and compensate automatically. That's why they're fighting your quantum matrix. They think your ship is damaged, so they're trying to fix it. That's impossible, Kylandor said. Machines don't think. Human machines do, Taewoo replied. We build our systems to be smart because we can't always be there to fix them ourselves. The ship shook again. This time the lights went out for almost a minute. When they came back on, half the control panels were showing critical warnings. They were running out of time. Captain Velthara burst into the engineering section. Her silver eyes were wide with worry, and her usually perfect uniform was wrinkled with sweat. Report, she demanded. The cascade failure is accelerating, Kylandor said. We've lost quantum containment in 3 sections. Life support is down to 60% efficiency. How long until complete failure? 1 hour, maybe less. Velthara looked at Taewoo with suspicion. Why is a passenger in my engineering section? He claims to understand human technology, Kylandor said. But I don't think... I can fix this, Taewoo interrupted quietly. But I need access to the ship's main computer core. Both aliens stared at him. Access to the main computer was restricted to senior officers only. No passenger, especially a human passenger, would ever be allowed near it. Absolutely not, Velthara said. Another alarm started blaring. One of the junior engineers shouted that they had lost quantum containment in Sector 4. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light speed with a violent shudder that threw everyone against the walls. They were now drifting in empty space, light years from the nearest star system. Without faster-than-light drive, they would never reach safety before their supplies ran out. We're dead, whispered Engineer Kayla. Taewoo stood up slowly. No, we're not. But I need computer access to fix this. I need to see the integration protocols and the original programming. Who are you? Velthara demanded. You're just a mechanic from economy class. Yes, Taewoo said. I'm a mechanic, and I know these systems better than anyone else on this ship. Prove it, Velthara said. Taewoo walked to one of the control panels. He studied it for a moment, then started typing commands. The other engineers watched in amazement as he navigated through complex system menus without hesitation. The primary quantum manifold is oscillating at 2.7 terahertz, he said without looking at any readouts. The secondary containment field is running at 3.1 terahertz. The human adaptive systems are trying to synchronize them at 2.9 terahertz, which creates a standing wave that destabilizes the entire matrix. Kylandor checked his instruments. Every number Taewoo had given was exactly correct. How did you know that? Kylandor asked. I can hear it, Taewoo said. The vibration patterns tell me what the systems are doing. Velthara was beginning to understand that this human was not ordinary, but she still couldn't risk giving him access to the ship's core systems. I'll authorize limited access, she said, but only under supervision. Taewoo nodded. That's fine. But first I need to verify something in the personnel database. What kind of verification? My military service record. I need to confirm the clearance codes. Velthara looked confused. You have military clearance codes? I used to, Taewoo said. Before I became a civilian mechanic, Velthara led him to a secure terminal. She entered her captain's authorization and accessed the personnel database. What's your full name? Lee Dong-min, Taewoo said. Service number 2847 Alpha 7. Velthara entered the information. The computer searched through millions of records from dozens of human military organizations. After a moment, a file appeared on the screen. Everyone in the engineering section stopped what they were doing and stared. The file showed a young human in a military uniform. His name was Lee Dong-min, but his call sign was listed as Ghost Wrench. His service record filled several screens. Combat engineer. Deep space specialist. Credited with saving the Kepler station during the Void War. Responsible for the emergency repair of the battleship Harmony using only spare parts and determination. But the most shocking part was at the bottom of the file. In large red letters it said, Classified Galactic Defense Priority 1. Legend status confirmed. Impossible, whispered Kylandor. Ghost Wrench was famous throughout the galaxy. Every engineer, human or alien, knew the stories. He was the human who could fix anything with whatever materials he had available. During the Void War, he had kept entire space stations running with repairs that should have been impossible. Velthara stared at the screen, then at Taewoo. "Your ghost wrench?" "I was," Taewoo said quietly. "Now I'm just a mechanic who wants to help save this ship." "But the stories," Kylandor started, "are mostly true," Taewoo said. "But that was a long time ago. Right now we have a ship full of people who need help. Can we focus on that?" Velthara was still in shock, but she managed to authorize full computer access. As soon as Taewoo's clearance was confirmed, every screen in the engineering section displayed the same message. Priority 1 clearance confirmed. Ghost wrench protocol activated. Throughout the ship, senior officers received automatic notifications. The legendary ghost wrench was aboard their vessel. The human who had saved millions of lives during the war was now working to save them. "How do you want to proceed?" Velthara asked, her voice full of respect. Taewoo was already studying the integration protocols on the main screen. "First, we're going to stop thinking like Valtorians. Then we're going to start thinking like humans, and then we're going to save this ship." He turned to face the room full of alien engineers. "Who's ready to learn how human technology really works?" Word spread quickly through the ship. Ghost Wrench was aboard. The legendary human engineer was in their engineering section, working to save them all. Even passengers in economy class heard the whispers. The small human in the dirty coveralls was actually the most famous engineer in the galaxy. Taewoo ignored the stares and focused on the problem. He had the ship's complete system files now, and what he saw made him shake his head in amazement. "You integrated a military adaptive AI with a civilian quantum matrix," he said to Kylandor. "That's like putting a race car engine in a family car. It's going to fight every system it's connected to." "The human AI was supposed to make our systems more efficient," Kylandor protested. "It would have," Taewoo said, "if you had understood how it works. Human military AIs are designed to keep ships fighting even when everything is broken. This AI thinks your ship is in combat and damaged. It's trying to keep you alive by any means necessary." He pulled up the AI's diagnostic logs. The computer had been trying to repair the Valtorian systems for 5 years, making small adjustments that the alien engineers never noticed. Now under stress, those adjustments were causing the cascade failure. "We need to talk to it," Taewoo said. "Talk to what?" Velthara asked. "The AI. We need to explain that the ship isn't in combat anymore." The Valtorian engineers looked at each other with confusion. Their computers didn't have conversations. They followed programs and executed commands. The idea of talking to a machine was strange to them. Taewoo opened a communication channel to the human AI. "Computer, this is Chief Engineer Lee Dong-min, authorization Ghost Wrench 7 Alpha." The response was immediate. A mechanical voice filled the engineering section. Chief Engineer Lee confirmed. "Status report. Ship systems operating at 47% efficiency. Multiple critical failures detected. Recommend immediate combat repairs." "Computer, we are not in combat," Taewoo said calmly. "Current status is civilian transport mission. Stand down from combat protocols. Unable to comply. Sensor data indicates critical system failures consistent with battle damage. Maintaining emergency repair protocols." Taewoo nodded. The AI was doing exactly what it was designed to do. It saw the incompatible alien systems as damage and was trying to fix them using human engineering principles. "Computer, the alien systems are not damaged. They are different technology. Integration requires cooperative protocols, not repair protocols." There was a pause. Then analyzing. "Alien technology detected. Cooperative integration protocols not found in database." "Then we'll teach you," Taewoo said. He turned to Kylandor. "I need your senior engineers. We're going to show the AI how Valtorian and human systems can work together." For the next hour, Taewoo worked with the alien engineers to create new integration protocols. It was like being a translator between two different languages. Human systems thought in terms of adaptation and flexibility. Valtorian systems thought in terms of precision and perfection. Engineer Kayla brought news that a young human woman was working in the lower engineering sections. "Her name is Park Ji-hye," Kayla said. "She's been helping with repairs." "Bring her up here," Taewoo said. When Ji-hye arrived, her eyes went wide. She was covered in grease and coolant, but she stood up straight when she saw Taewoo. "Sir," she said formally. "Engineer Park Ji-hye reporting." "You know who I am?" Taewoo asked. "Every human engineer knows about Ghost Wrench, sir. Your repair of the Kepler station is required reading at the academy." Taewoo smiled. "Good. Then you know that impossible repairs are just puzzles waiting to be solved. I need your help with this one. Jihai's face lit up with excitement. She had dreamed of working with the legendary Ghost Wrench since she was a student. Together, they began implementing the new protocols. Taewoo's plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Instead of forcing the human and alien systems to work the same way, he created a buffer zone between them. The human AI would manage human components using human logic. The Valtorian computers would manage alien components using alien logic, and a new translation program would help them communicate. It's like having two different orchestras playing the same song, he explained to the watching engineers. They don't have to use the same instruments, but they have to stay in rhythm with each other. As they worked, Taewoo told Jihai about the old days. During the Void War, he had often had to repair ships with crews from different species. Each race had their own way of building things, their own logic for how systems should work. The secret, he said while rewiring a connection, is not to make everyone think the same way. The secret is to help them understand each other. The repair required perfect timing. All the modifications had to be implemented at exactly the same moment, or the cascade failure would continue. Taewoo coordinated teams throughout the ship. Human crew members and alien engineers worked side by side, following his instructions. Remember, he told them over the communication system, we're not fixing broken systems. We're teaching them to be friends. Captain Velthera watched from the main engineering station. She had never seen anything like this. The human was coordinating repairs across 17 different sections of her ship, managing dozens of engineers from 5 different species, and somehow making it all work together. On my mark, Taewoo said, his voice calm and steady. 3, 2, 1, execute. All around the ship, engineers made their modifications simultaneously. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's systems began to stabilize. The warning lights changed from red to yellow, then from yellow to green. The human AI spoke again. Cooperative protocols established. Integration successful, all systems operating within normal parameters. The engineering section erupted in cheers. Aliens and humans hugged each other. Even the stern Captain Velthera was smiling. But Taewoo wasn't finished. Computer restart faster than light drive. Destination, Centauri Station. Confirmed. Faster than light drive online. Estimated arrival time 6 hours. The ship jumped back into hyperspace smoothly. Through the windows, the strange colors of faster than light travel looked steady and normal. How did you know that would work? Kalandor asked. Taewoo was cleaning his hands with a rag, just like any other mechanic finishing a job. Because, he said, the best repairs don't fight against what's already there. They work with it. Jihai looked at him with admiration. Will you teach me more about integration protocols? Maybe, Taewoo said. But first, let's make sure this repair holds. The real test of any fix is whether it's still working tomorrow. As the celebration continued around them, Taewoo quietly gathered his tools. The job was done, and he wanted to get back to his seat in economy class. He had a book to finish reading. The Stellar Harmony completed its journey to Centauri Station without any problems. The new integration protocols worked perfectly. Human and Valtorian systems ran together smoothly, each doing what they did best. But something more important had changed during the trip. The crew's attitude toward humans was completely different now. Captain Velthera called a meeting in the main conference room. All the senior officers attended, along with Taewoo and Jihai. The room was elegant, with crystal walls and comfortable chairs designed for different alien body types. I want to apologize, Velthera said, looking directly at Taewoo. When you boarded our ship, we treated you poorly. We saw a human in old clothes and assumed you were unimportant. We were wrong. You had no way of knowing, Taewoo replied. I wasn't trying to hide who I was, but I wasn't advertising it either. But that's exactly the point, Velthera continued. We should have treated you with respect regardless of who you were. Human or alien, passenger or crew, everyone deserves basic dignity. Kylandor nodded in agreement. I spent 5 years fighting against human technology because I thought it was primitive. But it's not primitive at all. It's different. And different doesn't mean inferior. Your people think in ways we don't, added Engineer Kayla. When we see a problem, we try to build a perfect solution. When humans see a problem, they find a creative way to work with what they have. Taewoo smiled. Both approaches have value. Sometimes you need precision, sometimes you need creativity. The best solutions usually combine both. Captain Velthara stood up formally. Lee Dong-min, I would like to offer you a position as Chief Integration Engineer on the Stellar Harmony. Your salary would be 10 times what a civilian mechanic earns. The offer surprised everyone in the room. Chief engineer positions on luxury ships were highly respected throughout the galaxy. It was an incredible honor. Thank you, Tae-woo said carefully. But I have to decline. I'm retired from military service for a reason. I don't want to be Ghost Wrench anymore. I just want to be a mechanic who fixes things. But you could do so much more, Velthara protested. Think of all the ships you could help, all the lives you could save. I can help in other ways, Tae-woo said. Let me make a different proposal. He stood up and walked to the room's main display screen. With Captain Velthara's permission, he brought up the ship's technical specifications. Your crew is excellent, he said, but they've never been trained to work with human technology. And humans have never been trained to work with Valtorian systems. What if we created an exchange program? What kind of exchange program? Kyle Andor asked. Send some of your engineers to Earth for training. Send some human engineers here to learn Valtorian techniques. Teach both groups how to integrate different technologies instead of fighting against them. Velthara's eyes lit up with interest. That could revolutionize space travel. Most ships in the galaxy use mixed technology from different species. Exactly, Tae-woo said. And most of them don't work as well as they could because the different systems are fighting each other, instead of cooperating. Ji-hai raised her hand shyly. Could I be part of this program? I would love to learn more about integration protocols. You'd be perfect for it, Tae-woo said. In fact, I was hoping you would help me design the curriculum. Captain Velthara was excited about the idea. An integration training program would make the Stellar Harmony famous throughout the galaxy. Ships would come from everywhere to learn the new techniques. We'll need approval from both Earth and Valtor, she said, but I think I can arrange that. I have some contacts who might help, Tae-woo said quietly. The meeting continued for another hour as they planned the details. The program would start small, with just a few engineers from each species. If it worked well, they could expand it to include other alien races. As the meeting ended, Tae-woo gathered his tools and prepared to leave the ship. But Captain Velthara stopped him. Are you sure you won't reconsider the job offer? She asked. We could really use someone with your skills. My skills work best when people don't expect them, Tae-woo said. Ghost Wrench was famous because he could fix impossible problems. But Lee Dong-min is more useful because he can teach others to prevent those problems in the first place. When the ship docked at Centauri Station, news of Ghost Wrench's presence had already spread. Dozens of engineers from different species waited on the docking platform. They all wanted to meet the legendary human who had saved the Stellar Harmony, but Tae-woo avoided the crowds. He used a service exit to leave the ship quietly. He had another job waiting for him at a small repair facility on the far side of the station. As he walked through the station's corridors, he passed a news screen showing footage of the Stellar Harmony. The reporter was talking about the amazing rescue by the famous Ghost Wrench. Today's events prove that cooperation between species can accomplish miracles, the reporter said. When human ingenuity combined with alien precision, they created solutions that neither could achieve alone. Tae-woo smiled and kept walking. The reporter was right, but not in the way they thought. The real miracle wasn't that Ghost Wrench had saved another ship. The real miracle was that a bunch of strangers from different worlds had learned to work together. 3 months later, the first integration training program began aboard the Stellar Harmony. 5 human engineers and 5 Valtorian engineers spent 6 weeks learning each other's techniques. Ji-hai was the program coordinator, and her enthusiasm made up for her lack of experience. The program was so successful that requests came in from all over the galaxy. Soon, ships staffed with integrated crews were setting new records for efficiency and safety. Tae-woo followed the news from his small apartment on Centauri Station. He was proud of what they had accomplished, but he was happier being unknown again. He had a new job working on cargo ship engines, and his coworkers had no idea who he really was. Sometimes, late at night, he would get messages from Ji-hai or Captain Velthara, asking for advice on difficult integration problems. He always answered, but he signed his messages as TW instead of Ghost Wrench. One day, a young alien engineer brought him a broken quantum stabilizer. The engineer had tried everything to fix it, but the human and alien components wouldn't work together. It's impossible, the engineer said in frustration. These systems are just too different. Taewoo looked at the stabilizer carefully. Then he made a few small adjustments and it started working perfectly. How did you do that? The engineer asked in amazement. Easy, Taewoo said, wiping his hands on his coveralls. I stopped trying to make them the same and started helping them understand each other. The engineer stared at him with growing suspicion. Who are you really? Taewoo smiled and picked up his next repair job. Just a mechanic who fixes things. And that was exactly what he wanted to be.